So why are you kind of phasing away from family law?
It's very emotional. It takes a lot out of you. That's the one area of the law where I feel like everybody's always fighting. It's very emotional and nobody wins.
I think it's a plus, obviously, in my situation. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, if we can make this work, it's going to be a plus because we are both attorneys. He was much older and had much more experience than I did. I was like, okay, so he's going to take me in and he's going to teach me all these things and we're going to build this thing together. That's not what happened.
In fact, I would love it if I could find what my friends have. And I have several friends that are attorney couples and they're partners and it's a wonderful relationship. But I haven't been able to find that.
The legal field is very demanding. It could be isolating at times. How has your background shaped the way you take care of your mental health?
I love this question. I love this podcast. I love all these questions. I think this is exactly the kind of content we need for aspiring attorneys or inspiring women and just in general. That's been a really difficult journey for me. So going back, I guess culturally, in the Latino community, we don't believe in mental health.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lawyers Have Souls too. This is your host, Winnie Jean-Pierre. Today, we have a very special guest. It's Attorney Karina Cieda, and we are going to talk about a very important subject. It is going to be, of course, a real conversation, very authentic, and we are happy to have you here. I'm going to have her introduce herself. Karina, thank you so much for joining us. How are you? And welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. This is actually the first time I've ever done a podcast. And so I'm so excited. I'm so excited about all the things we're going to talk about. And I can't wait to get started.
I see that we have a third party. Who do we have here?
So this is actually my new intern. His name is Tuberto Cerda.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
But we call him Tabby for short because nobody can pronounce Tuberto. Obviously, it's an old ancient Spanish Mexican name. So
I love it.
But I got him about a month or two ago. And he's part of the firm. He works very hard. He's in charge of happiness.
I can see that. That is the director of happiness.
Well, he's an intern. He's working his way up.
I say give him the job already. That's what I say.
He doesn't believe in nepotism. He wants to earn his keep. And
I love that. That is a great place to start. Nepotism. Well, usually I introduce my guests, but I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay. I'm Karina Cieda. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for about 4 years. I have a small practice in McAllen, Texas. I'm originally from the Valley. I practice family law, criminal law, and personal injury. I started in family law and criminal law, and I'm trying to phase out the family law and narrow my practice. But given my market, I'm from the RGV. I'm a small town lawyer, and so we do a little bit of everything at my firm. And I love a challenge. So if somebody walks through the door with a problem that I feel that I can help them with, I'm always willing to take that on. So I really love what I do. I worked really hard to do what I do. And this is actually my second career. My first career was in marketing. I was a marketer for several years before I went back to school in Florida, actually. I went to a small school in Jacksonville, Florida called Florida Coastal. And then I came back to the Valley and started practicing.
Nice. So we do have something in common a little bit. I did not stay. I only lasted like 2 months in family law. It was very dramatic for me. I could not deal with the drama. So for me, I said, no. And I think what I learned when it comes to family law is just kind of like the dynamic of, when things falls apart, when people stop loving each other, everything just go. So the drama was just too much. I could not handle that. Um, so why are you kind of phasing away from family law?
So it it's just so emotional and it's very illogical. And I'm single. I've been single since I've been an attorney. I have that's a big part of my story too. I started doing family law because I I I had a difficult relationship prior to going to law school, and I every day I was so grateful that I did not have a child with this person. And I saw so many women in my life that were taken advantage of because they didn't have the right counsel at the time, or they took the wrong advice, or they didn't handle that situation in their lives. They didn't either have money for an attorney, they did it on their own, they didn't think they needed an attorney. And there were so many little details that were not ironed out at the time of their divorce or separation that came back to bite them later. And they deal with the consequences of those decisions for the rest of their lives, really. And so it started out what I started out wanting to help those people. And then as time went on, I just got tired of it. It's very emotional. It takes a lot out of you. That's the one area of the law where I feel like everybody's always fighting. It's very emotional and nobody wins.
Yes, yes.
Nobody doesn't feel like they win. Nobody's ever happy. Even if you win, even if you give them the best possible outcome, they're still not happy. And it's very unfair. And people are always looking for someone to blame
Yeah.
for their outcome. And even if you give them the best possible outcome within the confines of the law is not fair.
No, yeah, that's true.
And so it was just really disheartening to work really hard, get a great outcome legally for your client, and they're still not happy.
Yeah.
And so, and there's a lot of emotions in it too. Being a woman is, it's difficult. I had clients where I represented men, and the new wife didn't want me to talk directly to my client. It was just a lot of odd things.
Again, the drama. The drama. I can't talk to my clients, so how am I supposed to help? I'm an empath, so the emotion thing is, oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
didn't, yeah, my first mentor that I ever worked with, she's a judge now. She did a lot of family law, and that's all she really did. And so she trained me, and I'm really good at it, but I just it doesn't bring me the same amount of joy that I get when I get a dismissal from the DA's office or when I get a large settlement check, for my client to start their new life. It's different. It doesn't give me the same amount of joy, that those other areas do. And so I try not to take those on, but I still have some cases, or every once in a while someone will walk in the door and they're like, I really need the help, and I take it on and then I regret it later. But
Oh, wow. So that's interesting. Can you share a little bit about your journey into law? What inspired you to become an attorney?
to be honest, when I was a kid, I used to watch a lot of Law and Order. I used to watch TV or Legally Blonde. I was always really inspired by that. Those feminist characters, and my mom always wanted to go to law school. But she wasn't able to because of her circumstances. She got married very young, and that was her dream. And I think I kind of took that on by osmosis. That was also her dad's dream for her too.
Oh, wow.
I'm exactly like my mom. My mom and I are the same person, in different forms. And so I've really gotten to do a lot of the things that she wasn't able to do because of her circumstances. And so but I never believed in myself. So it's my second career. I put it off for a long time. I didn't go to law school till I was 27. And I really went because I started dating an attorney.
I went to law school at 27, just FYI. So we're in the same boat. But for me, it was just, I was doing a lot. I got 2 masters after undergrad. Yeah, I'm kind of like an overachiever. I just wanted to do all of these things. I was collecting degrees. And finally, I said, oh, okay, I think now I'm good to go.
Yeah,
Um,
I did the same thing actually. I started uh other programs, and as I was doing those programs, I realized like this isn't really what I want to do. I'm finding an excuse to put off what I really want to do, and that is to go to law school.
yeah.
So I started dating an attorney. I also didn't know any lawyers. I knew one, a cousin of mine. And when I told her I wanted to go to law school, she was not very encouraging. She was very, dismissive of it. I was a marketer, which back then was kind of like a pretty girl job. It wasn't, it was, there was a lot of strategy, but it wasn't respected in the way that I feel like marketing is now.
Yeah.
The industry's changed a lot. And I will never forget for the rest of my life her telling me, like, if you go to law school, you're going to have to read books and you're going to have to study. And, it's going to be
How did that make you feel? I'm offended and I'm not. What do you mean?
yeah. She's like, your life isn't going to be just posting on Facebook and delivering cakes. And I was, I was really hurt that she didn't think I could do it. And so I finally met an attorney that made me feel like I could do it. And so I broke up with him, and I went to law school, and I left. And I didn't know if I was going to come back, and I did.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like so grateful for all of my all my failures and everything, like, because that's where you end up exactly where you're supposed to be. And so it went really wrong.
I agree. I feel like I can talk to you for hours. We have so much in common. Now, we're not going to we have to stay on subject, but how was it dating an attorney? Because I dated one and I don't think I want to do it again.
So I dating an attorney before I was an attorney, it is a different experience than now. So I will say that I didn't understand um the the life before I was a lawyer. And so a lot of the things I complained about before, I probably do now. And that's annoying. I don't think I would love to date an attorney now, if it was the right fit. One of my best friends, she's a judge. Her husband is also a district court judge. They were lawyers together. And they sorry, my dog is just going insane today.
Mr. Intern is he has something to say.
One of my dearest friends is a judge. They work together as attorneys, and it's such a good fit and partnership. Like, they are true partners in everything, and they're equals. And so if I could find something like that, that would be wonderful. But I haven't. And going on dates with other lawyers as a lawyer has been challenging. Sometimes they feel like they need to compete with you.
That was my issue with my lawyer guy. It was just a lot of competition.
Just men in general, because I've gone on dates with other professions, and they also feel like they need to compete with you, and it's interesting. So yeah, I'm not opposed to it, but in fact, I would love it if I could find what my friends have. And I have several friends that are attorney couples, and they're partners, and it's a wonderful relationship. But I haven't been able to find that.
I think for me, it's not even about put the profession aside. I think like when you find a true partner, whatever it is, it's, you make it work. I think it's a plus, obviously, in my situation. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, if we can make this work, it's going to be a plus because we are both attorneys. He was much older and had much more experience than I did. I was like, okay, so he's going to take me in and he's going to teach me all these things and we're going to build this thing together. That's not what happened. I will eventually talk about that. But it was just a lot. And I'm like, how are you competing? I'm like a new attorney. You've been doing this for like 15 years. Like, what are we doing? But anyways,
We should do a whole podcast on that episode because I had the exact same thing.
yeah. Yeah, anywho, we'll talk about that at some point. But as a woman and minority in this profession, what challenges did you face very early on your career?
So I really appreciate you having this question on the list. It's a question that I wish more people would ask. I think 1% of the attorney population in the United States, women of color or women of color in the profession, we're just so rare. And there's not a lot of information about what it's actually like to be a woman of color in this industry. And so, given where I practice, I don't know if my experience is um, unique to my location. I've only ever practiced in Deep South Texas. I live on the border. Our population is very Latino. I think we're 98% Latino, Mexican American, pretty recent immigrants within the last few generations. And so that being said, our culture is very heavily influenced on the Mexican culture. And I take that into consideration in my experience practicing because I feel like a lot of the things that I deal with on a daily basis are the products of machismo, in the Mexican culture. In our culture, women are supposed to be subservient and we're supposed to, respect the men in our family. And we do. I love my culture. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with my culture, but when that does bleed into your work, it's difficult. I've had judges, in different areas, they talk to you differently. They compliment on the way you look instead of the way you work, or it's difficult. You don't always get the same level of respect that you would if you were a man. Even clients will sometimes meet with me and be like, okay, so when do I get to meet the lawyer?
You you get that. Oh, wow.
And so it's weird. And even I have a male paralegal right now who's a lot older than me, and he will give sometimes there's miscommunications with clients, and the clients, I'm the attorney. The clients will argue with me, well, your paralegal said this. And I'm like, but I'm the lawyer. Like I'm the lawyer. I'm the one giving you the advice. And so um it's just been interesting. I don't think I had ever experienced sexism, to the extent that I have in this profession, because it was in marketing and there were more females. It was a much more feminine industry at that time. Now I feel like it's more balanced, but back then the way marketing was done, 10, 15 years ago was very different than it is now. And yeah, it's just been interesting, the odd stories. We could have that's a whole podcast in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want your feedback on that because you're obviously not. The demographics of where you practice is different than mine. And so how do you experience that, if I'm allowed to ask?
It is, but I will tell you, the experience is pretty much the same. I think that I was super excited to talk to you about this subject specifically because um, I have a friend who used the word triple threat. She said she's a woman, she's an immigrant, and she is Black. So I think that at least for us in my circle, a lot of my friends are, you know, immigrant background. A lot of my lawyer friends, they are female. And this is something that happens almost every day. Are you the assistant? Where's the attorney? I've had people tell me that they were mistaken to be the defendant. And I said, that's wild. And I think that it's important because a lot of us, I'm speaking uh, for a specific group of people, a lot of us Black women, we just think it's just us. We think, oh, someone like Karina maybe doesn't get mistaken for the assistant. And I think it's interesting to know that this is happening. And, you know, when it comes to well, your paralegal said this, I think it would have been different if the paralegal was also a woman, right? I think it's because it's a man and, not to say anything about, not to get anybody upset, but if he's a white man, that makes it worse because they're like, well, that's what he said. Like, who are you to tell me what's going on? We think what he said is the right thing to say, or he knows better than you. It's so sad, and it's very hard to kind of navigate because, like, you want to be professional, but you also want to correct people politely. And sometimes it's like, okay, how do you do it, right?
Yeah, I agree. I will say, like, and that's another thing. I've had a lot of issues with staff too. They tell me things that they would never tell.
Yeah, I know.
They want to order me around like I'm, just some little lady, and it's
Yeah.
difficult. Or and then you're also afraid to say anything because you don't want to be perceived negatively, and I don't think that men ever have to worry about um setting boundaries in the workplace or setting deadlines, and it's just a level of respect that I don't get a lot of the times that my male counterparts do. And they it I'm that's this is kind of why it makes me feel so seen to hear that you also experience these. And not that I'm glad that you do, but I think these are very important conversations for for us to have as attorneys in the industry, and to provide this content that women in the industry, or law students, or people that are interested, girls that are interested in pursuing this kind of profession. There's a lot of things about being a female attorney that I didn't know about until I was already here. And I I wish that I would have had some sort of um, mentor to show me those things. Another thing that I've experienced a lot is that the women are not always uh very willing to help. A lot of the times I got so lucky when I started practicing. Is I met one of my dear friends who's a judge now, Nereida Lopez Singletary. I met her at a networking event, and she took me under her wing, and she really, really was the big sister that I never had. And had I not had her to help me navigate lawyer world, I call it lawyer world because it's so different from real life world, and there's a lot of things that people don't understand about, lawyer world and things. And had I not had her, I don't know what I would have done. Um, it's
Talking about that, what role do mentorship play in helping women advance in the legal profession? I think you kind of answered some of that, but how do we encourage, other women who are already in the field that have the experience to help, younger, well, they don't have to be younger, newer attorneys kind of navigate those waters?
I think encouraging them to be involved, creating safer spaces. I know women are socialized to compete with each other. It's not our fault that we're like this.
Yeah.
And so, you're competing for, the attention of men, or jobs, or, all these things. And so I was not socialized like that. I've always wanted, or I have a really good relationship with my mom. I've always wanted that kind of friendship. And so I was the receiver of that. And so I'm really grateful, and I'm always looking for opportunities to pay it forward. I have an intern right now who's applying to law school. And I've had a few, and I think being on the receiving end of that, it really taught me how to do that for other women. And so I'm so grateful that I had a really great example. It's kind of like being a parent. I'm not a parent, I don't have any kids, but
It is like being a parent.
yeah. And so now I want to be that for somebody else because she was so good to me in that way. I want to pay it forward, and it provided the template for how I need to be for somebody else.
Yes. And I think the other thing that I want to add to that is you don't have to do a whole lot. I think a lot of people say, well, I want to mentor, I want to help, but I don't have time. Like for me, I work with students that are studying for the bar exam because my journey to bar passing was extremely hard because I am a single mom. I had a lot going on. Like everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong. And let's not talk about the finance part. I think people just like, oh, I can't pass the bar. Let me go and study. And for some people, they can't even take a week off from work. And they kind of just need somebody to kind of like help them with scheduling, with, how to study. It's just little things. So every February and July, when people are going through the process of studying for the bar, that's where I volunteer. I have a group of people. I partner with a bar prep company. It's a Christian bar prep company. And again, at first I said, well, I want to do all of these things, but I don't have time. Now, and honestly, I literally talk to these people for about 10 minutes once a week, and it helps. Something very simple has like, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Like, what did you do? Because I went through it not once, because I didn't pass the bar the first time. And I was able to tell them like, hey, this is how you put the schedule together. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. Like the first time for me, I didn't sleep. I just studied for 14, 15 hours, did not eat, did not take break. And when you tell somebody that, and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to take break. And I'm like, yes. They're like, oh, I'm supposed to have day off. And I'm like, yes. So then I said, wait a minute. It's just little things that people don't talk about because everybody just assume that and you don't. So I think when we think about mentoring, there's different levels to it, but whatever that you can do would help a lot, will help a lot.
I love that. That's beautiful. I wish I would have had something like that. I also struggle with the bar. And I think mental health, that's something I've worked on more as an attorney than I did as a law student. And I wish I would have done that before I went to law school. I think law school would have been so much easier had I done that. But I love that. I'm going to see if I can maybe do something similar. I've found girls on social media that will message me or I've met them at networking events, and they've come up to me and said that they, want mentorship. And honestly, the extent of most of the mentorship that I've done is just phone calls like that and telling them the truth about, yes, you need to sleep, you need to rest. Rest is just as important as working because you're not as efficient. I did the same thing when I took the bar the first time. Yeah, it was tough. And then
and no one told me. And for me, after, the second time around, I had a mentor, and she gave me a schedule, and I said, I'm not going to survive. I won't pass the bar with this. And she said, yes, you will. And guess what? A little sleep goes a long way. Because I was sleep deprived and I was studying and I was not retaining anything because I was like a zombie walking around, right? I was not eating. And she said, no, that's not how you do it. But again, now looking back, I'm like, duh, it makes sense. But at the time, I didn't know. I really didn't know. And all I needed was for somebody who went through the process to say, hey, it is possible for you to sleep and eat and take a day off also, and then pass the bar. So I'm glad that you have that. And again, I'm glad that you're paying it forward in some ways. Now, the legal field is very demanding. It could be isolating at times. How has your background shaped the way you take care of your mental health?
I love this question. So this is a I love this podcast. I love all these questions. I think this is exactly the kind of content we need for aspiring attorneys, or inspiring women, and just in general, because all of this is applicable to all careers. But that's been a really difficult journey for me. So going back, I guess culturally, in the Latino community, we don't believe in mental health. I didn't grow up, I didn't know about the Latino thing, but we don't believe in mental health. Mental health isn't real. You're making it up. It's all in your head. Just don't worry about it. Have you tried, not worrying so much, things like that. And so, I did do therapy. I started going to therapy maybe when I was in my early 20s. I started going in secret. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anybody, because I didn't want anybody to know. I don't know what I was so embarrassed about at the time. But yeah, I had gone to therapy, and I tried so many things, and nothing really worked for my anxiety. And I was able to achieve so much, but it was killing me, And so I finally, and mental health, I think, is a journey for a lot of people. I finally saw a psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, probably actually this year. And so I finally started taking medication for that, and being treated for it. And it has been life-changing. It was like putting on glasses. ADHD is real. A lot of people, also don't think that ADHD is real. People think that it's, you can't concentrate. Um, and no, it's definitely a condition. I don't think of it as an illness. I think of it as a condition. And being treated for it now, I've been able to do so much, and really, also forgive myself for the struggles that I've had in the past. Had I been diagnosed, earlier, maybe I wouldn't have struggled so much with the bar. Maybe I would have, maybe not struggled so much academically, and it's that in and of itself has been a journey, and learning what works for me, and myself, my own personal journey. I believe it's so personal, and what works for me is not going to work for everybody. And I think it's really, really important to um, consult with the professionals, because I tried everything under the sun before, trying medication. I was very resistant to taking medication because of I think the cultural stigma. There's really nothing else, no other excuse that I can come up with. And it held me back for a long time. So and now I tell all my clients, um, all of them, that they need to consult, either see a therapist or get a psychiatric evaluation if they can. And I've actually learned a lot about mental health through my practice, and I use mental health evaluations and things like that as evidence in my practice as well. And so, I mean, nobody gets DWIs when they're, not going through a hard time. Uh, a divorce is such a traumatizing experience. And so it's very important to incorporate mental health into your life. It's just like working out. It's just like your physical health. And so I found myself advocating for that and telling people about my personal journey so that they feel like it's okay to get the help that they need.
Yeah. And, I want to say in the past 5 years, maybe it's been more accepting. Everybody's talking about it. So it's a bit easier, but we still have a lot of resistance, especially and, culture wise. I was born and raised in Haiti, and just like you, I would get, well, you're doing so well. You're an attorney. I get that a lot. What do you mean you stressed? What do you mean you sad? You have no reason to be sad. And I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. So when they think about that, they were not able to make the connection. And again, I always say when you don't know better, you can't do better. I always tell my mom, because, my daughter and we went to therapy, and, I started doing therapy, right when I got in law school. But, and, my mom, she always said, well, I'm so sorry, I didn't tell you about that. And I said, well, you didn't do it. Your mom didn't do it. Your grandma didn't do it. Like, you can't give me something you didn't have. I just think that, now that we are here and it's more accepting. And I also think it's just like what you said, like, if your car need gas, you go and put gas on it, right? So it's the same thing. If you are not okay mentally, you feel like you cannot function, then you go get help. It's as simple as that. Um, my next question for you is, how does representation or lack thereof um, impact women or minorities that are in this profession?
I love this question. So I think representation is so important because it gives you, at least for me, when I see people that look like me in the positions that I want to be in, you know it's possible. It gives you the comfort to know that your dreams are achievable and within the realm of possibility. So down here, everybody looks like me. I grew up here. Everybody's Latino. We all have a very similar background. My mentor actually does look a lot like me. And so I remember seeing her signs and she ran for the Court of Appeals in 2020. And I remember seeing her signs or her political signs all over the county and thinking, like, I can't wait to be her. Like, I cannot wait to do that someday. And the same goes for other judges. My mom is friends with or went to high school with another judge. And they grew up together, and knowing that she was able to achieve that really gave me the inspiration to pursue it. It doesn't make it easier because I didn't know her personally, but it gave me the courage to dream that big. Go ahead.
No, I'm just taking it all in because I'm thinking that's the same thing for me. I mean, I came to this country, I spoke zero English, like zero. And just like you, I didn't know any attorneys. It's not, I didn't have family members that were attorneys here. So it was a very lonely and scary thing for me to do. I was very smart. I was very dedicated. I did really well in school, but just like you said, I was petrified. Like, I kept saying, okay, let me go and do a master's and let me get, this degree and that. And I did well, and I still didn't feel like I was prepared because I'm like, well, who am I gonna ask? like like if something goes wrong or if I need something, I don't have somebody to go and say, hey, what is this? Like, how do you do this? What am I supposed to do? Even something as simple as applying. And obviously, you go to school and they help you, but it's really not the same. Like, you have a counselor, they have like 50,000 other kids, you get a little time. So, um, it was challenging for me. And of course, now I can be that for others. And I think it's a privilege. I don't take it for granted. I really take it very serious when people come to me and say, hey, you are the only Haitian attorney that I know in this entire country. What can you tell me? And I also, I try to be as honest and transparent as possible because I think people cannot make the best decision for themselves if they don't have the information. So I always tell them, like, this is what this is. Like, get ready. Just like we talk about, being a woman in this male dominated profession. I tell people, I say, hey, sometimes people will talk at you and not to you. And that's something that you have to, and, as women, they always, expect us to be poised, we cannot be upset. We can, there's just so much that comes with that. And yeah, I don't take it for granted. Now, what advice would you give to young women or minorities who feel like they don't belong? I mean, I still have some imposter syndrome once in a while. You know, I still deal with that. What advice would you give them?
I feel that one on a cellular level. I thought that when I was in law school, I thought that that feeling of imposter syndrome was going to go away once I became an attorney. Like I thought once I had the bar card, um, that it was all going to go away, and that is not true. You just you get used to that level of being uncomfortable, and it's something you just have to get used to. I think what I would tell them and what I personally do is I journal a lot and I remind myself of the reasons why I decided to take this career path. And I would encourage them to find sources of inspiration and um, find people that they can look up to show them that they do belong. And there's room for everybody in this profession. This profession is very cutthroat, and so it doesn't feel like that sometimes. But it there's room for everybody. There's more than enough work. There's no need to be competitive and mean. I mean, in a way that bullies other people or disencourages people from joining the profession. I would never ever dissuade anybody from pursuing this career like I was. A lot of people told me not to do it, including people that I did look up to.
Yeah, that's hurt. That's very hurtful.
You're gonna have to struggle, and I think anything worth having, it's a struggle. And so I keep notes for myself when I look back on them when I'm having moments of doubt. Um, and I reflect on them and keeping the journal. I have journals that go back to when I was in college, and I have my goals that I set for myself back then, and I reflect on how far I've come. I think reflection is a tool I learned in therapy that is really, really beneficial because it reminds you of where you've been and how much further you have to go.
Yeah, you did. And for me, what I always say is that everybody has their people. I tell somebody, I said, there could be 15 attorneys. There is something about you that somebody will come to you, whether it's your personality, whether it's whatever. So I love that you say there's no need to compete. There's enough work for everybody. And also, there's something special about you. There's only one you. There's only one you. There's only one me. And people gravitate towards that. Like, I'm a big energy person. So if I go somewhere, there could be 150 people, a celebrity, and I just go to that particular person because there's something about their energy that I'm attracted to and I want to work with them. So I think everyone should really keep that in mind. There's really something special, something different about you. And I think in this society, sometimes we don't see the value in being different, but there is a huge value in that. You don't want to look like everybody else. You don't want to sound like everybody else. You don't want to be anybody else. I remember for me for a long time, my accent was a thing. And I literally would have people, they just want to talk to me because they like my accent. So I said, you know what? It is what it is. I'm just going to deal with that. It's not an issue because, again, um, you being yourself is powerful to me. And I always encourage people. I said, just be yourself. And the other thing is, that's how you're going to meet people who actually like you for you. If you are pretending to be somebody else, then, you can't find that partner. You can't find that, business partner or whatever, friends. I don't want you to be my friend because you think I'm this other person. I want you to know that I'm loud, that, I love to dance and I love music and, I don't want to be somebody else because if you're not into that, then I need to know. upfront so I can make the best decision for me. Now, what is one thing you would change in the legal system for minorities and women if you could?
I love this question. I would definitely make it easier to enter the profession. I don't I didn't realize how many barriers and obstacles there are to entering the legal profession until I was actively trying to become a part of it. It is so expensive to just apply to law school. It's so expensive to take the LSAT and study for the LSAT and then even submit the applications. They make it really hard. This is definitely a profession of privilege that most people that enter, once I was in law school, I found out most people that enter this profession, come from our legacies or second careers. People have had to, um, work before to be able to enter the profession. I didn't do that with the intention, but I was already working when I started applying to law school. So I was able to afford all of the little luxuries that came with it, which all the application fees and traveling to schools and going to different things. Like it was expensive. It was not the same as applying to undergrad.
Yeah.
And a law school experience, I would equate to, first generation college student. I am not a first generation college student, but I didn't have any lawyers in my family. And so navigating the process was really, scary. You don't know what to do. And there's advice online, but it's invaluable to have somebody to give you real life advice and have somebody who's been through it that can help you through it. I just wish it was a more accessible profession than it is. It's definitely not an easy profession to get into.
Yes. So, can you share a story where your identity as a woman and a minority actually became a strength for you in this legal profession?
I think every day I my experiences and my struggles help me give me the empathy to connect with my clients, and I use that to fight for them all the time. One thing I didn't realize about being a lawyer is that every day you're fighting with people. It sounds really dumb, but I didn't think that was going to be my life. But yeah, you literally get paid to fight. And so, especially my criminal clients, I do a lot of court appointments, and most of my clients are indigent or poor or can't afford counsel, but that doesn't mean that, they are not entitled to the same uh, access for justice as anybody else. And so um, I empathize with their situations. A lot of times they're there because they're a product of their circumstances. And so making the state or the DA's office or the other side understand and empathize with their situation is really important because convictions have consequences. And if I didn't care, I would just, get them on some sort of probation and move them along, or even my family clients. I have been in abusive relationship situations, and so I can empathize with where they are. And I use that every day, whether I realize it or not. But it does filter the way that I fight for my clients and the way I explain things to them and work with them to handle their cases. So yeah, I don't believe that anything is ever a waste of time. There is no such thing as a waste of time. All of your life experiences give you information that you never thought that you would use, but nothing is ever a waste of time. You use everything, and that's what makes you you.
I love that answer. I mean, all this has been amazing, but no, 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 this was great because I mean, I didn't know what you were gonna say, but that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think going back to what we were saying earlier, you, being your authentic self is really the best thing that you have going for you.
Exactly. And I don't think that uh, as attorneys, we are so different.
Yes.
And so I always encourage people that consult with me to go and, go consult with other people. Just because you meet with me doesn't mean that you have to hire me. Go find the attorney that's right for you. I'm not going to be a good fit for everyone.
Yeah.
And maybe you need somebody who's going to be a better fit for you. And so especially depending on the type of case, a lot of times I get people and I meet with them and I've even told them, like, we're not going to be a good fit. I can tell right away we're not a good fit. I think you should hire somebody else. And so, yeah, because I'm also not just here to take someone's money, and waste their time if I can't, you know, um, set the expectation for you as you can do and what's possible. I mean, we're lawyers, we're not magicians. We're not
At all.
I can only give you what's in the confines of the law, And so if you don't have a case or if we're not a good fit or if I can't provide for you what you're looking for, I'm going to encourage you to go find a better fit for you. And there's so many lawyers out there. I'm sure there's one that's a better fit for you.
Yeah, I agree. So, I have one question and then something just I have a funny, interesting question at the end, but let's ask the less more serious one first. What legacy do you wish to leave for the next generation of lawyers who look like you?
Ooh, I love that. Just that it's possible that you can be whatever you want. There aren't very many older female attorneys that I know. You know how in law school, I met so many people that were, could say, of course, they were white, that their grandfather was an attorney. But I don't think I've ever met anyone whose grandmother was an attorney.
I have not.
Have you? You can. There's not. I mean, I know people that, oh, my mom's a lawyer, but even that is rare.
I don't think
I've ever met anyone
who's
who's like, oh, my grandma was a lawyer. My grandma couldn't dream of becoming a lawyer. My grandma, didn't finish school. I mean, I don't even know if she finished high school. My grandma couldn't imagine that I would live the way I do. And we are really the first generation of women that are able to make all of our own choices. Well, not anymore. Not until recently. We do have less rights than our mothers.
Yeah, true.
But we're the first generation that doesn't have to get married.
Yes.
We don't have to have kids if we don't want to have kids, and we don't have to we have a lot more choices as far as our futures than we've ever had. Sure. And so my grandma could not imagine living the way, and she does it. I will admit, she does think I live kind of weird. I've never been married. I don't have kids. I refuse to have kids with the wrong person or just anyone because I understand the level of commitment it takes because I see it in the courtroom every day.
Yeah.
And so I feel like our role as attorneys in this generation, we are opening the door and, breaking those glass ceilings, whether we realize it or not, because we are the first real liberated generation of women.
We are.
Oh, we're setting the example of what's possible. And so I would love to be somebody's grandma, my grandkids to say, oh, my grandma was an attorney. I don't know if I'll ever be a grandma, but I have the possibility and I have we just want the choices. I think as feminists and as women, I'm a feminist. I hate that that's a dirty word to some people, but I'm very much feminist. And all it means is that men and women are equal and we have the right to choose whatever we want to do the same way men do. And I'm just glad that we have the choice. I don't have any disrespect to anybody that chooses to live a more traditional life, but I love that we get the ability to choose.
Yeah, love it. Now, fun question. Um, what is the wildest thing or wildest case you've had? Obviously, you cannot share specific details, but whatever you can give me, I want to know.
What area of law? Like wild?
Whichever. Let's do criminal law.
The wildest criminal. I have a livestock hoarding case right now. That's and that's pretty wild. We live in an area that's not super rural anymore, but there are still rural parts, and we've had a lot of animal hoarding cases. Recently, I that one's kind of interesting. The ones I think with the most tea are the family law ones.
Oh, that I know. Give me the tea.
I hate it. I am not a dramatic person. My personal life has like zero drama. Because all the drama is in my work life. But I do have one really stupid case right now where it was a divorce. Wife was hiding kids, and husband was trying to find the kids, and she accused him of stalking. Never been in trouble before. Never.
Because he was looking for his kids?
Yeah, she was withholding the kids. So that one's still open. We're trying to decide if we're going to go to trial or not. Part of me wants to go to trial.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's hard. Gosh, I'm pretty sure I do have really juicy ones. I just can't think of them right now. I'm always more of the empathy ones. I get appointed to a lot of homeless people that just get picked up because they're homeless. It's criminal trespassing. If you search their history, you can tell they're homeless based on, the charges they have. And instead of giving them PR bonds to let them out, they arrest them. And those are the kind of cases that just infuriate me, because that's not justice. Just because they're homeless doesn't mean they belong in jail.
Yeah, the homelessness situation is taking over, and it's everywhere. And I've seen some states that have some crazy laws. I'm in Florida, so you know what that means.
I thought y'all were bad. And then I lived in Florida, and then I came back. No, we beat you. I'm sorry.
I don't know, but if you say so, because you've been on both sides. Thank you so much. This was amazing. I can talk to you all day. We would probably have to do this again. I think there's a couple things that you mentioned that I think would be great, to kind of come back and rehash and talk about. But before you go, I am going to say this sentence, and I need you to finish it. Lawyers have souls too, because...
Lawyers have souls too, because we are human beings. We care about our clients. We have been through a lot of the things that our clients are going through. And I think it's important that we remember that we are human beings and we have needs too.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. This was amazing. I mean, I am definitely going to have Karina back on. She has so much. We have so much in common. She is a very interesting lawyer who has a soul and a story to share. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time, thank you so much. I will put Karina's information if you want to follow her and see what that beautiful soul of her is about. I will see you all next time. Lawyers have souls too. Thank you.